chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Purport: the Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He's always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he's not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising his holy name, his eternal form, his transcendental pastimes, and his uncommon pastimes. Transcendental qualities and his uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmajyoti, is not described as Mahatma in the Bhagavad Gita. He's described in a different way in the next verse. What way is that? He says, quote, "Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as one without a second, as diverse and many, and in the universal form." The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod or human being. That is devotion. Shravanam kirtanam Vishnoho, and smaranam, remembering him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the 5 transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything, in the service of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired result. As described in the 2nd verse of this chapter, not only is this devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a happy mood. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can live this life in devotional service, guided by an expert spiritual master, and in any position, either as a householder or a sannyasi or a brahmachari, in any position and anywhere in the world. He can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become actually Mahatma, great soul. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is one of the main verses of Bhagavad Gita, and according to Srila Prabhupada's purport, in this verse Krishna is defining who is a real Mahatma and who is not a Mahatma. But in case you didn't catch it, a real Mahatma is a devotee, and a bogus Mahatma is an impersonalist. That should be very clear now. He's quoting the next verse, in which Krishna gives alternatives to devotional service, which he does not encourage. So we should take the hint from Lord Krishna. He says it more explicitly later on. But here Prabhupada says, a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the end, ultimate end, the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the 5 transcendental rasas. That would be Shanta Rasa, Dasya Rasa, especially Sakhya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, Madhurya Rasa. And to achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, verbal, everything, in the service of the Supreme Lord. The test of one's devotional service is one is following the regulative principles which are recommended for devotees. Those principles are described in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Hari Bhakti Vilas, Upadeshamritam, other sources by our Goswamis. And as the second verse of this chapter describes, this devotional service is very easy and it can be happily performed. One doesn't have to starve himself or undergo any number of unnecessary or extreme austerities and penances. So this devotional service is also performed under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, and anyone in any position can perform it. So the conclusion is that one should do so, and that's how one becomes a Mahatma. I'm just going to refer to, since Prabhupada referred to the verse in his purport, I'm going to recite the second verse of this chapter. Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartam Avyayam. So this is the king of knowledge, the king of secrets. Why is it a secret? If it's the king of knowledge, what makes it so secret? It's right here in Bhagavad Gita. How's it secret? Many people learn Bhagavad Gita, they memorize Bhagavad Gita, they repeat Bhagavad Gita. What's secret about it? You have to think. It's not enough just to repeat like parrots. You have to think. What does it mean? Why did he say that? So what makes it a secret? The secret is that you actually have to do this in order to realize it. It's not enough just to talk about it. I used to work with people who actually know these books better than most of us do in the University of Washington. And that doesn't help. Certainly didn't help them. One has to actually surrender to Krishna. And then one gets entrance into the secret mystery of the truth of devotional service. It doesn't happen otherwise. Krishna says this in chapter 15 also, Yatanto yoginaschainam pasyantyatmanyavastitam idanto prakatatmano nainam pasyantyachetasaha. If they're not conscious of Krishna, he says, then they can't see anything clearly. Even they try to understand, they just can't get it. It's kind of like here, everybody eats the kinds of things that we don't even like to mention. This is Kerala. I have to say, frankly, it's infamous all over India for that reason. So these people we find, when we try to preach Krishna consciousness to them, people who eat these things, they don't get it. Why don't they get it? Because they're not following it. This is the point of that verse. Chapter 15, which verse is it? Maybe it's somewhere in there. Krishna says, if you're not practicing these teachings, you will not understand. That's why it's a secret. You have to actually do it. And then you realize. So that's what makes it the king of knowledge also. It's mystical. It's a process of experience. Yaswanubhavam akhila shruti saramekam. We hear in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. The whole Bhagavatam is full of nothing other than the personal experience of Shukadeva Goswami. Swa Anubhava. And this experience of Shukadeva Goswami should also become our experience. When it is our experience, then we are also Mahatmas. That's how Prabhupada concludes his purport. So Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam cha, Pavitram inam Uttamam. It is pure. Why is it pure? Because it's Uttama. It's transcendental. It's above this Tama, Tamoguna. Most importantly, he emphasizes in his purport, Pratyakshena avagamam, we can say. It's something that you realize by your direct experience, sensual perception even. We know that there are different pramanas. The reason that Hinduism is in such a sorry state right now, And the reason why so many people turn to Christianity and Islam and communism and materialism is because it's not presented to them in the proper manner. Therefore, they have no clue as to what it is because they certainly haven't practiced either. And so, among the ways that we understand anything, especially Krishna consciousness, that's called pramana. How do you know whatever you know? How do you know? The best way to know is by hearing from authority, shabda pramana. Someone's authoritative says something that's true, and you submissively accept that, then you have perfect knowledge, instant knowledge. Maybe you don't realize it yet, but you can, as soon as you apply it. So that's Shabda Praman. Second best thing is Anumana Praman. Anumana means you try to measure it. Ma means to measure, Praman. So, Anumana means you speculate, you guess, you use your mind to philosophically inquire. That's okay because it's a little more subtle than just gross sense perception, but it's subject to defects. What are the defects that it's subject to? We cheat. Yes, everybody cheats. You know that. And we make mistakes. We've all experienced that also. Our senses are not perfect. If you look at the sun, it looks to be the size of a small pearl, but it's much bigger than that. We know that from authority. What's the other one? Make mistakes, imperfect senses, cheating propensity, and we become illusioned. Should go without saying. Well, it actually should not go without saying. But it should not need to be said, this is my point. So pratyaksha is the last of the pramanas, the way that you prove something. Pratyaksha, just if you can see it, the saying is seeing is believing. Is it? Is seeing believing? Some of you think so, some of you don't. Yeah. You can see AI-generated movies on YouTube of people doing all kinds of things that they would never do and did not ever do because it's cheating. Somebody else's cheating propensity is putting you into illusion. And you are so experienced that you think, okay, seeing is believing. It's done deal. Or if you read something in the news, you think that it's true even though it's somebody may have made it up. Nowadays everyone is criticizing AI. You try to ask a simple question and it will give you some hallucinatory answer. I argue with AI all the time, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, so enough said there. Pratyaksha is just seeing things with your senses, hearing things with your ears, touching things, feeling things, like that. A little more subtle than that, you imagine in your mind, you think about what it could be and all that. That's Anuman. And then finally, Shabda means to hear. Here in Bhagavad Gita, we're just hearing from Krishna. So here he says, Pratyaksha Avagama. Avagam means to understand something. It's understood directly by your own experience, as if by Pratyaksha. That's called Vaidushi Pratyaksha. When someone is self-realized, his Pratyaksha is perfect. But most of us are not. So, Dharmyam, this is the supreme religious principle, and Susukham Kartam. It is very joyfully performed. It is very happily performed. Devotional service. Prabhupada said, we're not interested in anything other than recreation. What is our recreation? We chant happily, sing and dance. We take prasadam, we hear something. Recreation only. Susukham kartam and avyayam. This is an eternal process. It's going on since time immemorial. It will always go on for the rest of eternity. And those who are the most intelligent, they will take advantage of it. Now, how do we do that in Kali Yuga? How do the intelligent people take advantage of this process of Kali Yuga? What's the verse I'm thinking of from Srimad Bhagavad? The most intelligent people do what in Kali Yuga? You have to read. You're close. Krishna Varnam. Krishnam Varnayati. Iti Krishna Varnam. If you're Varnayati means to chant. So he's chanting the names of Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam, Tvisha Krishna. But he's not blackish. That's an indirect way of saying that he's golden. Via negativa. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam. And he's surrounded by his angas and his upangas and his associates and his weapon in form of his beauty and his compassion. These are his weapons in Kali Yuga. Yagnyahi Sankirtanaya Praya Yajanti. Kon. Oh, sorry, we don't speak that language here. Who is it who's doing this? Who's doing Sankirtan Yagya mainly in Kali Yuga? Sumetasa, the most intelligent people. That's why it's the Raja Vidya. So this is a simple thing, how to become a Mahatma, but you have to hear from the right source. There's one Bhagavad Gita verse Srila Prabhupada spoke from more than any other verse in Bhagavad Gita. Does anybody know what it is? You have to just study his lectures. You know that that's a very good guess. 7, chapter 7. Yatagnyasasi tatrino. Just listen, just hear. If you want to know, asamshayam samagram mam. Everything about me without any doubts, tatrino. Just listen to this. That's the point. And we don't do that. Bhagavad Gita, the joke is there. Bhagavad Gita, as it is. You get it? As it is. Just leave it as it is. Sometimes we see in people's houses, they're all still shrink wrapped. Just as it is. Because we're not reading. So this is not the recommended process. We have to hear. And the fact that Prabhupada spoke more on that verse than any other verse indicates how important it is to hear. Now, one of the things that Prabhupada mentions in the end of this purport is that a person can be in any condition of life. They may be as brahmacharis or as householders or as vanaprasthas or sannyasis or whatever. Sthane sthitaha shrutikatam tanuvang manobhihi. That's okay. Remain in whatever situation you're in. You don't have to take sannyas. You don't have to shave your head. You don't have to move into some Himalayan cave. No. Stay in whatever position you're in, comfortably. But here, Shrutikatam tanuvang manobhi. Engage your mind in what you hear. Repeat what you hear. This is the important thing. Very, very important thing. And Prabhupada finally concludes here at the very end. If we do this, and we engage in these ways in devotional service, then we can also become Mahatma, as described in this verse. Not we can, we will become Mahatma. You don't even have to attempt to become a Mahatma. All you have to do is attempt to follow these instructions. The work has already been done for us. It's already been placed before us on a silver plate. All we have to do is accept it, free of charge. So, these are a few thoughts on this. I don't want to take too long. But if anybody has any questions or any comments,